like to ask, how was the experience at this event?
Oh, fantastic. I think the speakers were really good and it was quite informative. So I had a really good time. Thank you so much.
Sir, my next question is on Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. It's a very debatable topic. How do you think we have achieved something in Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code till date?
So, like I mentioned, the act is very well intentioned. We've achieved quite a bit, I would say. Some of the statistics may not reveal everything, but as the dirty dozen experience shows us, a lot of really large ticket insolvencies have been resolved. A lot of public money stuck in these insolvencies has been sort of released in that sense. So we've achieved quite a bit, I would say, from the insolvency process, but there is still a long way to go. So there is a lot that needs to be done. There are a lot of reforms that need to be carried out in the process, and sort of the future does look bright, with laws and with this law being dynamic. So I am hopeful.
So, do you think the objective of this code has been achieved? Like,
I would say yes and no both, because the law, like I said, is well intentioned. We failed the law when it comes to practice. We failed the law when it comes to things like accountability, things like following the processes on time, timelines, etc., etc. So while some success has been achieved, I think, like I said, a lot needs to be done. And if you're able to bridge that gap, I think we have a bright future.
okay, so what are the changes that can be made?
So, look, I mean, we need to find a way of getting this law to follow, timelines, number one. And I think accountability on part of the stakeholders, and stakeholders means it's not only the tribunals that we're talking about, but really the RPs, the advisors to the RPs. Everyone needs to be accountable, everyone needs to be disciplined, everyone needs to be able to follow the timelines to make this act really work. So I think that's where we need to focus on the reforms, and that's where the reforms really need to be carried out.
Okay. So my next question is, how do you see the role of AI in legal profession?
See, I believe that there are a lot of functions that we as lawyers do on a repetitive basis. A lot of day-to-day things that we do on a repetitive basis which AI can take over. But I really don't believe that AI can take over the function of a lawyer as a whole. Because there is no way that you're going to be able to give that human element, the human judgment element to a lot of things that we do as lawyers. So while some of the administrative processes can be taken over by AI, lawyers and judges are not going to be able to, AI can't replace lawyers and judges.
I would like to shift to my next question to something different topic. Like, how do you see the decision of Bar Council of India to allow some foreigners to practice in India?
See, it's a limited decision at the moment. Mr. Basim mentioned in the morning today at the conference that there are a lot of loopholes still. The Bar Council itself recognizes that there are a lot of loopholes. So my personal view is that I would follow a wait and watch approach. A lot of clarifications need to come not only from the Bar Council's end, even from foreign jurisdictions on things like reciprocity and things like that. And of course, this sort of assumes that there will be some amendments that will be made to the Advocates Act and some other legislative additions that will be made. So I just feel that it's at a very nascent stage. Entry of foreign lawyers is at a very, very nascent stage at the moment, and one must follow a wait and watch approach.
Yeah, sure. Sir, I'd like to shift on my next question. Like, how do you see the pending cases in India? Like, there are a lot of pending cases, and we have seen a lot of tussle between government and court.
Yeah.
So how do we see that debate?
The point is, like in IBC, this is also a case where all the stakeholders need to be accountable. So it's not the judges alone, right? It's also lawyers who need to be accountable. There are so many times when lawyers won't go ahead with a matter. Systematic, adjournments one after the other, etc., etc. The courts are no doubt burdened. The number of judges are way shorter. The number of competent judges are way shorter. So how do you incentivize people to become judges? Uh, how do you, that's one of the ways in which you can deal with pendency. Pendency, of course, is a much larger problem than just this, but I think pendency of cases needs to be sort of seen from an institutional level, rather than just saying that, look, I mean, in a particular court there are 16,000 cases pending, I will add a few more judges and it will come to an end. I don't think we are going to be able to achieve anything by that. There needs to be a systematic overhaul.
How do you see the role of government in this?
See, unfortunately or fortunately, the government has a very large role in appointment of judges. It has a very large role in looking at the criteria of those people who are being appointed. And I think the least that they can do is, quicken up the process, enter into a more constructive dialogue with the judiciary on judicial appointments. That's the very basic that you would expect the government to do. But more than just that, I think the problem is more endemic than just appointment, like I said. It needs to be seen from, there has to be a bottom-up approach. It cannot be just an ad hoc reactionary approach.
Okay, now let's talk about some burning issue. Like I'll talk about NJSC, National Judicial Appointment Commission, that government had been in 2014. So, how do you think the recent debate of collegium system and collegium system, and what can be done more to make it more accountable?
Look, I mean, the collegium system has its flaws. I am a big advocate of a sort of judicial services, akin to what Delhi has done. Delhi has done it fantastically well. A lot of competent people are coming through the Delhi district judicial services, who then go on to become high court judges. So instead of having a body which is looking at different candidates, and different bodies apply different criteria, I feel that one of the ways of appointing good people and competent people could be by way of introduction and emphasis on appointments through the state judicial services. Removing that sort of burden or that sort of onus from the collegium system is also equally important. And of course, if we must stick by the collegium system, then it has to become far more transparent. It's a very opaque system at the moment. There has been a lot of things done to try and make it more transparent. As you know, the minutes are now sort of shared with the public. They're up on the websites of the high courts. But we require more transparency in that system for more good people to come up and be appointed as judges.
Okay, my next question is on accountability. Democracy is all about accountability. So government is accountable, they go for elections. But why the judges are not accountable to people?
Yeah, well, I mean, the system is just the way it is. But in a way, if you look at it, judges' promotions are also based on their performance. In a way, it's not an institutional way of doing it, but it does happen when their appointment is considered for the Supreme Court, for the High Court, etc., etc. So in a way, there are people reviewing judgments that have been passed. In a way, there are people who are reviewing the sort of competence of the judge. So there is some sort of review or some sort of accountability at that level. But largely, I would agree with you, there is no accountability on a larger scale. There needs to be more accountability than that. But I mean, like I said, there needs to be an endemic, there needs to be a complete change and an overhaul of the system to introduce that. Our system has been such from the British era that the judges are sort of closed and not open to public scrutiny. Things may also change in the era where now judges are being seen by the public because, the hearings are open, the hearings are more public, some of them are relayed even on YouTube. Supreme Court hearings are relayed on the website. So to that extent also, I feel accountability of judges will go up because the public is seeing them, the public is seeing how they perform.
Exactly. Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.